Okay, well, welcome to the mud shop. I'm hoping when I get this all video done, I can get it uploaded. If it does, you get to see it. If not, I'll put it up in pieces. Alright, I've had some people ask me, how long does it take to make a piece of pottery? Well, say this basket maybe. Uh, it takes several hours to get the clay, roll it out, cut out the pieces, put the texture into it, get it put together. You wait a week, 2 weeks, depending on the weather, for it to dry. Then you put it in the bisque fire that fires about 13 hours. Takes a day or two to cool down. You get it out and you glaze it, which takes a little while. You put it back in and bisque fire it and glaze fire it, excuse me, and then you're done. Well, to give an example of the load that's in the kiln, let me put this back. This kiln load of pieces, just say once it's been bisque fired, it took me about 30 hours, more or less, to glaze the pieces that are inside this kiln. Then it took about an hour to get it loaded. Nothing can touch anything. You have to place it, make sure the bottoms are clean, the glaze is away from it, so that when it heats and the glaze melts, it does not stick to your shelf. So it takes several minutes to do that for each piece. It took about an hour to load the kiln. Then it fired for 10.5 hours, and I have been waiting for 32 hours since it stopped firing for it to cool off enough to open. I let it cool on its own this time. I did not unplug any of the plugs. I lifted the lid one time, stuck my camera in, take a few pictures just to see how some of it turned out on the top. Because you just have to do that. Anyway, it is now at 116 degrees, so it could cool a little more for me to open, but I've opened it at this temperature before. I will pull the plugs first so that it lets it cool a little bit quicker before I open the lid. And you probably hear I have the air conditioner running. I do not want the pieces to have temperature shock, go from the 110 degrees out there to the 80 or 70 degrees that it is in here. Right now, it is actually 80 degrees inside the shop. So I'm going to turn the air off, and that way there's nothing stirring to bother the pieces as I pull them out. And then that helps with the temperature also. Also like to put down towels. You probably noticed in all my videos the pretty striped towels. These were donated to me from my daughter-in-law. And I use them every time I unload the kiln. I cover my table with towels so I have somewhere to put the hot pieces as I get them out. Now, to lift the kiln, let's see what we've got. All right. I'm going to see if I can move the camera just a second so that you can see down inside the kiln everything that's in there, and then I will unload them one piece at a time. If you see, I have witness cones there. I'll show them to you as I get them out. I have one bead rack. Camera put back in place. Sorry about that. Alright, I'm going to turn it this way a little more where you can see the table some. Alright, pieces are a little warm here, but alright, Georgie's company puts out what they call interactive pigments. It's a little bit different than what I usually use, so I tried that this time, and this is the first firing that I've had with these type of items. Let's turn this back around this way where I got a little more light, and you can see these pieces. You see it's got some, I used a brown on the inside, and that turned out pretty well. I've got a list of all the colors. This is a little mixing bowl. You can mix a little bit of pancake batter in it, a few scrambled eggs. Perfect for like my husband and I, just the two of us. I don't mix a whole bunch of pancake mix, just enough for two. But that makes a nice little pot. And I love the colors. Let's see if I can remember the colors that I've got on this. This is the 112 clay. I used wormwood is what this is called on the outside. Wormwood. And on the inside is Albany slip brown. And let's see if you can see it better. But it turned out pretty. And my beads, I put them on here on a bead rack wire, and they just slide right off. I'm in the process of making, sometimes they'll stick. You just have to tap it and it comes right off. Alright, in the process of making some wind chimes. I had rested the little rack on the post. Alright, this is also part of the wind chimes. Got some blues on this. I know you just want to see the pretty pieces in the bottom, huh? Okay, these, I actually put them in backwards. This tells me, this is your guide cone and your guard cone. All right, this is cone 4. It went all the way. That tells me it made a good cone 4. This one is cone 5. And so it made a good cone 5. The 6 barely moved, so it was a good 5.5. That just tells me the heat work, how well it did. The control panel here keeps good check on it also. All right, here's another little mixing bowl. Let me find the colors. All right, this one is the 112 speckled clay, and I'll just file these little spots off of there, no problem. This is deep fire brick, and let me look. I don't remember the colors too much because I have so many colors that I use. Arctic blue. Alright, so this was Arctic blue put around the top, and then seaweed on top of that. So it made a good blend, a few little runs on the inside. So very pretty colors. I don't know if I can turn it this way is better or the other way is better. No, this way. Alright. Alright, this was also made with the Georgie's Interactive Pigments. Alright, the heart box is autumn foliage. It's autumn foliage interactive pigment on the outside and true green on the inside. You can see the texture in it. Made like a little flower. Right? Little heart box. Alright, I am in the process of making garden bells. Right. These are the wind catchers for the garden bells. This one goes with this one. We'll string it. It'll have some items on the top. I've got a bird that goes here and some of the beads. This will hang to catch the wind, and this will be what clanks as the wind catches it and moves it. And I will let you know when I get it all done. I've got one in blues. You can see different shades of blues all the way down until it gets to the color. This is a clear on this. This is the color of the clay. You see, this is a black clay. You can see. Then I have one made with the white clay. Let's see how it turned out. All right. This is a little bit of a blue streak across the top. This is marigold, tangelo. Then I have deep fire brick on the bottom. And this is white clay. And then I have the wind catcher for this one that matches it. And the wind will catch this. I have a clanker that'll be on the inside. I have beads and little bird that'll go on the top. This will be a bird sitting on the top with some beads. Some of these beads are already done. See here. So, but I will let you know when I get them all completed. All right. These are my stilts. They have a wire on them that you just set stuff on. This will not melt in the kiln. All right, I'm going to lift up the first tray to reveal what's under here. Okay, I have a couple lidded jars. I believe they're going to be where I can. And when you first get them out, the lids are pretty snug. Flat tool. This will work. Alright. So this is made of the black clay. Get where I'm blocking the light. You can see I used, actually I put deep fire brick first to make it darker, or a blue. Yeah, I think I put indigo float on here actually, which is a blue. And then I put Smoky Merlot, which is a purple, and then just a little chun plum around the top. You can see when you get close up that it does have a little bit of a purple shade. Now I just put clear on these edges. These were black clay, and then I took a white clay and made it real thin, made a slip, and I added the slip on here, and I just left it. So it was the white slip on black clay. And so then I glazed over these, so they just made a texture there and left these white. And again, on the inside, it is the blue and purple. So I used indigo float and Smoky Merlot, which is a purple. And again, the lid, I left the clear around the edge and on the top so that you could see the black clay. It's a lidded jar. I apologize about this being so long. I haven't got the first layer yet. Okay, this is also a lidded jar. This is the Georgie's Interactive Pigments. I used the indigo, which is a blue, and I bisque fired it first. Put that on here, let it set a little bit, wiped it back, tried to get as much off of this as I could, and then I just put a clear glaze over the top. So this is what it looks like with the Georgie's. This is a lace pattern. I actually have a piece of lace I laid out and rolled it into the clay to give it that lace texture pattern. Here's the lid. And like I said, when you fire it, the lid is on pretty tight. But I just take my little tool and the lid comes off. And you see I've got, I did do indigo on the inside so that it would match the outside because I knew it would be blue. But you can see where it has a blue tint here. That is just the pigments that I left a little bit of pigment on there. But that turned out gorgeous. Okay, here's another mixing bowl. This one's a little bit larger. All right, this one has the interactive pigments on it. I think this one is the Winter Storm. Maybe the Winter Storm. Yes. That turned out good. You can see it's got a bluish gray tint to it. It shows off that texture real well. And again, this is a mixing bowl. Now, I could mix pancakes for a family in this one. Pretty good size. Or a cake mix. Leave a cake mix and mix in there. All right, another piece of my wind chimes. This is a little clanker. Pick up some toast. All right, my first try with, I think it's called Mishima. That's where you bisque fire your piece, and then you cover it with, in the greenware, when it's still green, you cover it with wax once it's dried partially to leather stage, and then you carve, and I have carved, if I can get the light just right. Okay. I carved the mugs while they were still green, and I let it dry. Then I fired it. Then I glazed this and fired it again. Now this is Jess's Chun Blue on the inside and Sky on the outside. And I did a little carving on the handle also. And it's blue underglaze on the carvings. Did a little flower under here and a little on the handle. Okay. So they match, but they're a little bit different. They're both hand carved. A little different on each one. All right. This is the mug this is the indigo, and this turned out gorgeous. I rolled out a texture, cut out, and hand did the mug. Put the little handle on it, and this is the indigo George's Interactive Pigments with I believe the inside of this is Storm. It's a bluish green. Pretty mug. Alright, this one I did multiple colors. I just did strips of different colors, kind of diagonal. I believe there is copper and ancient jasper and ironstone. A little bit of it. And now the butterfly on here was painted with underglazes, Mako underglazes, just different colors. I painted them. And I think it turned out pretty. There's a little bit of smoky merlot on the inside. Gives a little lavender, and then some of the colors on the top here. It turned out gorgeous. Alright, here is, oh, pretty. This is cobalt on the outside with ancient jasper and a little car on the front of it. Cobalt on the inside. A little bit of ancient jasper on the handle. Probably does better a little bit further away. Okay. This is also part of a garden bell. It'll have some beads on the top, little clankers that'll put a bird on top of it, a bead under that, and then you'll have a clanker in it and a wind catcher. Alright, and here's one of the birds that goes in the top. Another one of the little birds. Alright, I'm ready to take some shells out. Now it may start getting a little warmer in there as I get further down. Alright, I had to pick up my post. Okay, I made colanders. Now I made a big colander last time. I don't think I videoed it, but I made just a standard size colander, or large colander, and then I made some smaller ones, just the size for just a little mini size colander. It's bigger than a berry bowl, but nice size for cooking for 2 or 3 maybe. But I think they turned out real well. This matches some of the other sets that I've made. This matches the set I have in my house. This is deep fire brick on the inside, which is a kind of a red. Let's see, get right there. And oatmeal and a blue around the edges. This one was made with the black clay. You can see I did a clear around the bottom of it so that the black clay would be seen, but I wanted it covered well because I am going to be using this with food, so I wanted it covered well. I did indigo float, which is a blue all the way around it. This one also is one that I did the slip trailing on. The black clay with white slip trailing, and you can see the white did show through all the glazing, so you can see all the decorations that I put on there. This also took a little extra time to do that, but I thought it was neat. It's my first try to do that. Little decorations on the handles and around the top edge of your colander. But I love this black clay. It's just gorgeous. Very good. Okay, I made a set for painters. My sister is a painter, and so I made her a water cup to rinse her paint brushes out with. I did a satin speckle on the inside, which is a white with just a little bit of a speck on it, and shadow blue on the outside. So you can tell it is a blue color. And this one is the shadow blue on the outside also. After I made this cup and it was drying, she said, you know, it'd be good if it had little indentions to hold the pens or hold the paint brushes. So I made another one, so she has the 2. And I'll show you the rest of the set. It'll all be the same colors. As I get down to them, I'll show them to you. I have a few spoons. These are my spoon stilts. I put them on here like this. It keeps them up so that as the glaze melts, it doesn't stick to them, doesn't stick to the shelf, and I get to glaze my spoons all the way around without having to hang them on a rack, because I like to make mine a little bit longer than what I would be able to hang them. So these are all just different colors of my glazes. I believe this was iron yellow, and this one matches my other stuff with deep fire brick, and this is the indigo with ancient jasper. I have these will be refrigerator ornaments. This is a fleur de lis. I have several of these. I'll put magnets on the back. I'll sand down where the they were sitting on the steel, put magnets on them to be a refrigerator magnet. One more piece. All right, this is the plate to, I'll show you just a second. I'm going to lift these shelves up so I can show you the set. I made a chip and dip set. Okay. All right, this is a chip and dip set. Here's the bowl and the deep fire brick. I use the blue and green on the edges, and it's deep enough to hold salsa or whatever dip you want. Put your crackers or your chips around the sides of it. But chip and dip set. All right, now pick up these posts. To do a sample of each one of the Georgie's interactive pigments, Let's see. I believe these two are both the same color. This is the maybe the Sand and Surf Tree Bark Golden Straw. This is the Golden Straw. Okay, so here we have, it's a little bit of a green down in the texture, and I did a true green around the outside edges, but these are pretty. Alright, this one I believe is the Sand and Surf little tray. You can see the texture in it. I've got the little twisted handles. Turned out pretty. Of course, there's things that happen off camera that you won't know about. I'll do some sanding on the bottoms to smooth the bottoms out. Ooh, this is pretty. This is also part of the painter's set. There we go. This is shadow blue. Turned out pretty. Alright, and this is Sand and Surf. Okay. These are just this easy to get stilts off. You just have to tap them hard enough to get them off. Okay, just parts of the wind chimes. These will be hanging. We've got a lot to do getting those together, but that'll be another video. Alright, this is the lid for the cup for the paint. Since I did two, I wanted to make sure sometimes you want to keep your water for the next day, and so you can put your lid on it and keep any critters out of it. So here's actually the whole set. It's the little plate, the right place, the little plate, the cup, and the lid. This also will be a little refrigerator magnet of a car, and another little trinket cup, little bowl. Okay, this is just a little push bowl. I cut it out with a cookie cutter and press in the clay a little bit of a texture, and then I have a cushion. I just lay the clay on it. I have a little round disc that I've made out of bisqueware, and I push it down to make it a little dish. It's a push pot. Alright, I've been using just experimenting with decals. They're underglazed decals, and so I rolled out the clay and I pressed in the decals on the clay, and then I made the little bowl, and you see the decals, and then I fired it, and after I fired it I glazed it, and I just did a little color here and then a clear on the bottom and clear over where the glaze was, and I thought that was a cute little dish. And I tried a little red flower on this one and a little red around the edges, and the rest is all clear. So those little cute little dishes. I'm hoping things will open up before long. Lifting up, getting to the bottom shelf. And we'll start having the craft shows somewhere, and I can set up, and I will let you know. And you can come see my stuff. Everybody wants to pick up pottery and hold it in their hand and just feel it. That's just how it is. If you like pottery, you just have to touch it. Or at least that's how I am. Alright, last pieces, the very bottom. I have a few more pieces here I'll pick up first that will be for the wind chimes. Get all these up. Alright. I'll pop this. A few little pieces for the wind chimes. This little flower. This is the thing that hangs in the middle and it clanks. This is the clapper, I guess you call it. A couple more. I just did this in obsidian, just black. But it was on black clay, so it was going to be black anyway. Alright, I got a little flower and another one of these. Alright, so those will all be hanging and dangling. Alright, the last few pieces. This one is cobalt and ancient jasper. Cobalt in the middle, ancient jasper. This is also one of the interactive pigments with clear on top. And you can see. This is on the speckled clay. So is this one. I like these little small dishes. They're really handy to put different things on. I just like them. Here's a little bit longer tray. So it's got some of the interactive pigments. What really let that speckle come out on that clay? This clay already has some speckle on it. You can see Dianna's mud shop. And this is a little soap dish that I made for my sink in my house. I made a lot of them and sold them, but I got to keep one for me. Alright, last two pieces. My basket. Alright, I cut out strips of clay and I made a basket out of it and then took another strip and folded it over to around the sides. This is indigo float, blue, with, I think that's just all I did on this. Just the indigo float. But it turned out pretty. Be a good little bread basket. Fruit basket. And my last piece, I've been making egg trays. This time I wanted to make one with a little bit of a lip on it and a foot. See, I've been making them just where they rest on where this part. Well, this one has a foot now to rest on and a little bit of a lip. So it makes it look a little fancier. Looks a little bigger, but the other one's stack in your cabinet better. But I just wanted to do one. Try it like this. I do have my symbol here for Dianna's Mud Shop. Inside here is Jess's Chun Blue with indigo float around it. And I did put on some Smoky Merlot, but it just kind of blended right on in, didn't it? It doesn't really show. Alright, so that is all of it. Let me see if I can